Okay, come into standing then. Lovely. Get yourself settled in. We're going to start with some of the walking. So once you're well grounded through the feet, really tall through the crown of your head, soften your knees, open your shoulders, and try and lengthen the whole spine before you float up onto your toes. And then find stillness there if you can. Balance and stillness before we start lowering one heel at a time. Breath in, and then out breath the heel down, back to tiptoes and down. So try and keep an eye on this pelvis. Make sure that it's not tipping from side to side. Keep the pelvic bones going down together. So one heel lowers while the other hip and knee bend. Good. Bring the arms in when you're ready. Try and lift the arm opposite to the knee that's bending. Keep the length in the whole spine. So once you've got it all coordinated, you can speed it up a bit if you want to. Just really be careful to keep your form there. Keep the breath steady. Try and take it up your nose. Gently blow it out your mouth. Good. And then we'll just slow it to stopping a tiptoe balance and lower. Good. And then we'll take it to corkscrew. So it's coming up onto the toes again, but this time float the arms up and out to the sides. Good. Lower the heels, take the hands behind your head. Float up and shrug your shoulders. Slide them back down. Good. Fingertips to the ceiling and come all the way down. Lovely. Let's go again with that. Up and down. Shrug up. Slide down. Up and down. See if you can do one in a balance. That'll be the last of our tiptoes. Here, take the hands behind your head. Good. Slide the shoulders up. Slide them back down. Fingertips up. Everything comes down. And let's move in. And then what we'll do is we'll take it to a calf stretch after that. So just take one foot in front of the other. Keep the feet about hip width apart. Take the heel behind to the mat. Keep the hip bones pointing forward and just press that back heel down. So it's not our hip flexor stretch at the moment. We're really focusing on the back heel pressing down. Stay upright, engaged, tailbone tucked. Good, just stretching out those calf muscles. Okay, let the back knee bend so you can step it in and we'll take it to the other one. So try and sort of align your feet with the sides of your mat so that back foot's not turned out at an angle. Try and have it naturally aligned. And then a little bend on the front knee, but keep pressing the back heel down. Good, and then let the back knee bend, bring it in. And we'll just bring it into feet hip width distance apart, lowering tools so we can do some roll downs. Breath in, breath out, take your chin down and work your way down through your spine. So hopefully you're warmed up from those other exercises and your spine isn't hopefully feeling too stiff at the end of the day. So make the most of this time to work on your segmental movement in the spine. Moving on your out breath, thinking about each vertebrae peeling itself off the one below, peeling away from an imaginary wall behind you. Deepen that curve, soft knees. And rebuild on an out breath. One more complete movement like that. Now float the head up. Great. Okay. So we're going to take it down to the mat. You'll want your head support. We're going to start with 100, so you want your head support and you want to be in your neutral spine rest position. Maybe have your weights handy if you think you're going to use them. And we'll just take a moment, getting the feet to hip width, comfortable distance from your bottom. Lift and lower that pelvis and try and finish with it in neutral so that you've got your belly button and pubic bone level. Adjust your shoulders so they're open through the front. Feel for those shoulder blades behind that you're resting on those. And just have your arms light beside you to start with. So if you think you want to use weights for your 100s, you can have them alongside. Gentle tap on the chin so the back of the neck's long. Have a breath in, engage your pelvic floor. Breathe out, hover the arms up alongside. Breathe in and start pulsing the arms. So from here now you can choose if you want to float a leg up so that you're in one leg tabletop, or maybe both legs, bring it into two leg tabletop. Make sure the knees are over the hips, so you've got that 90-degree angle at your hips and your knees. The pelvic floor is still consciously engaging, but allowing you to breathe steadily. Think about sending the breath out into your lower ribs sideways, out into your t-shirt seams, blowing it out your mouth. Keep going. If you want to, you can draw forward. So ribs towards the pelvis at the front there, head and shoulders off the mat. Keep breathing. Keep the chin gently tucked like you're holding a peach under your chin. Keep going. Last few, I'll count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest down. Bring your feet down. Good, and just the arms light beside you again. And we're going to take it to some one leg stretches to get started. With our mat work, just out breathing a heel to slide away. And then in breath back. So it opens up the front of the hip without it pulling your low back away from the mat. Keep the pelvic bones level and the space behind your low back nice and consistent. You could hover the arms beside you if you want to make it more challenging, taking that support away from the mat. Keep going. Good, let's rest the arms down and we'll take it to level 2. Actually, we'll do some scissors first, and then our level 2 combines the two movements. So let's take it to scissors level 1 first, just out breathing a leg up and then in breathing it down. So we're breaking it down into these 2 level 1 exercises first, then we'll take it to the combination. So careful as the leg floats up that it doesn't tip your low back into the mat. Make sure that the pelvic bones are still staying nice and level. And it's your hip joint moving, try and keep the knee at 90. Again, you could float the arms if you want to, just challenge yourself a little bit while you're focusing on this level 1 exercise. All of your principles, the precision of movement, this floating of the hands just makes your center work a bit harder. One more of these, and then rest down. Okay, so here's where we combine them. Breath in to prepare. Breath out, float up. Pause here for your breath in. Out, breath away. And breath back. Out, breath down. Good. Other side, out. Into pause. Out, away. In and down. Good. Keep going for a couple more. And down. Good. So a little rest. What we're going to do is we're going to take it to double leg stretch. So similar to what we were doing before, but with the arms going up and over. So if you want to use the weights, you can. Check in with your position, have a breath in and engage, and then out breath, the arms up to point towards the ceiling. Start position is here. Breath in. Breath out, slow lower overhead. So focusing on the ribcage position, just let the shoulders stretch. In, breath back. Going again, making sure the ribs don't lift or flare. Maybe the shoulders will go a little bit further as you get into it. But don't worry if the arms don't touch the floor behind you. Start adding a heel slide at the same time now. So this lovely opening at the front of the body, which we really need after a day with lots of sitting. Where the movement is controlled so that the low back doesn't overarch and the ribs don't flare. So you can keep working here if you want to, it's absolutely fine because it's giving you that lovely opening. Or if you want to challenge your centre, you can float up into your tabletop position and do some repetitions there. So centre is engaged, out, breath away, in, breath back. Keep the heels sliding on the mat if that's better though. Last one to each side. And then we'll rest those arms down. And the legs. Good. Arms light. Just check in. We're going to do our last mat work exercise. We're going to do our last one in this position, is our hip twist. So allowing one knee to drop out to the side. So out, breath it out. In, breath it back in. So you know that if you would rather, you can do this up in tabletop. But sometimes I think that level one is a challenge in itself, just getting that dissociation between the pelvis staying still and the hip rotating out. Really getting that control right is a challenge at level one. Keep the arms light, keep the shoulders open and soft. Again for a couple more. Finishing up. Good. Okay, bring the knees in for a hug. Let's stretch the low back to start with. And then we'll take it to a hip flexor stretch before we come onto our sides. Okay, so take one foot down and slide it away so it opens at the front of the hip. So we're going to just stretch out as we go along. We did the calf muscles earlier, we're doing our hip flexors now. Good, other side. Lovely. And now we'll come onto our sides. All right, so we're going to start with some clown, which you can do whichever version you like to do. If you want to work at level 3, you can. Otherwise, stay here with your shoulders, hips, and heels aligned. We'll open up the shoulders, this top shoulder's pointing straight up at the ceiling. Try and keep the hand away from the mat. Long through the waist, a little space under this lower waist, and your center engaged. Lift those ankles without your pelvis tipping over, so keep it nice and long. Breath in. And breath out to open up here. In, breath back. So start focusing in on your glutes behind the back of your hip here. So if you can't feel it in there, then get the fingers to have a good rub or a pat or a dig in and tell it where it's wanting to be working. Squeeze into the back there. Pressing the heels together at the top can help get you that squeeze, and then breath lower. Yeah, keep going for a couple more. We won't do hundreds of them. We're going to change to side kick in a minute. Last one of these, make it a good one. And then rest. And put the ankles down. Okay, we're going to take the top leg out straight for side kick. You can keep your lower leg bent. You might not want it as bent as that. The more you manage to straighten it out, then the more challenging you'll make it. Make sure the waist is still long. Now you're in one long line through the top of the body, the top hip. Keep it slightly forward. Breath in. And then breath out, slide the leg forward from the hip. In, breath back, opening it up. As we stretched that hip flexor earlier, let's use the space that the hip allows to get the glute working as that leg comes back. So out, breath forward, sliding with a pointed toe. In, breath back, the heel leads the way. Stretch and open. Just make sure your low back doesn't over curve when you come back. Keep the low back position under control. Keep going. Last couple. Careful of this shoulder. Make sure it stays away from your rear. It's not creeping up, not getting tense. And then rest this leg back down, bent on top of the other one. Let's bring it over, up and across. Give it a stretch. I've got a tattoo on my foot. It's not real. It's a transfer. Great. We're going to leave those knees bent then for our arm openings. So change your head position if you want to. You can grab a small weight, take both arms in front of you, shoulders away from your ears. Okay, when you're ready, breath in, breath out, lift the arm up. Watch it go up and over, but now start sending the centre of your chest to the ceiling. Top hip stays forward, knees stay down. Breathe in. And out, breath back again. So a lovely active centre through this, supporting you, especially as you lift back up and over. Here, with your out breath. Good, lovely, and rest. So instead of sitting up to do our exercises between sides, today we're going to do some shoulder bridging. So we're coming back to our back. You don't need your head support. You can leave that out. Bring your heels closer to your bottom than they were before. Okay, you can use this for your spinal movements. We normally do a mobility exercise between our two sides. So you can just work on your tipping and your peeling, working your way up through your spine and replacing the spine. Or if you'd rather keep working on glutes, then you can obviously progress this into the one leg version. Pressure through your heels, keeping the activity here in the bottom muscles. Don't overarch your back. Keep the work here, not straining here. And if you are taking it to the one leg version, pressure through the standing leg heel, allowing you to come up through the other one and straighten it, but keep the pelvis level, keep the hips up. Arms light on the mat, don't press through the arms to keep the hips up. Try and use the glutes. Good, last one. Make sure when you're putting your spine back to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Great. Okay, so while we're here in neutral spine, let's give those hamstrings a stretch. Bring one leg in so you can hold behind the thigh. And then slowly straighten at the knee. Trying to lengthen into the back of the thigh there. That's where you should feel the stretch. Don't overflex the ankle, just keep the ankle relaxed. We've stretched the calves already. Now we're trying to focus on the back of the thigh, into the hamstrings. For neural mobility, you can put the ankle flexion on and off. So you can't see my ankle there. You can do this on and off with the legs straight, which will help you with that sciatic nerve mobility, as long as it doesn't create any unwanted neural symptoms. Don't persevere through any pins and needles and sort of nasty neural stretching. Good. Okay, take it to the other leg. So just switch and hold. Try and stay in neutral spine. Try and keep that space behind your low back. Straighten up. Easing a little bit more out of it if you can as you breathe. And release. Okay, now we'll take it to our other side. So you'll need both head supports and your weight handy if you want to use it when we do arm openings. Starting with both knees bent for clown leg, or if you were wanting to do level 3, then your lower leg is straight. But if you're in position, if you're ready, you can make a start, ankles up, out breath to lift the top knee. Good. Two more really good ones, making sure that you're focusing in on where that squeeze is coming in. And then rest. Good. Both legs down, but top leg straight. Challenge yourself if you can to straighten that lower leg out a little bit. Keep the top hip nicely forward. Top leg at hip height. And out breath it. Sweeping it forward. In breath it back. So if you need to use your hands to start with, that's okay. Just get into the rhythm and the movement. And then try and lighten your touch. And take it away if you can. So you're using this here to steady you. Especially as the leg sweeps forward, you should really feel it in your tummy. And as the leg comes back, remember we're trying to open up into that hip, squeeze into that glute, but not overarch the low back. Just try and keep your natural curve. Well done, last couple. And then rest. All right, keep both knees bent. For the last one on our side, our arm openings. Your head near the front of your head support, your shoulders away from the ears. Hip stacks, that top hip slightly forward. Breath in and out to open. Start rotating through the upper back. Keep the top hip forward. Let's get the center of the chest shining up on the ceiling. Breathe in. Out breath back. Good, just one more. Okay. And we'll take it to some exercises on our tummies. Starting off without any head support, because we will rest our head on our hands for swan dive. Take your time, getting yourself nice and long from the crown of the head to your tailbone. So your tailbone gently tucking, creating a little space or little pockets of space underneath your hip bones there at the front. Try not to clench your glutes, get that positioning from engaging at the front of your pelvis, through your centre, through your pelvic floor. And then draw your shoulder tops away from your ears. Imagine that peach held under your chin, and have a breath in, and then breath out to hover your head up off your hands. So leave the hands down, hover the head up, breathe in, and then lower. So out breath up, we're trying to extend the upper back. So think about your spine at the shoulder blade level of your back, extending and allowing that lift. And while you're up there at the top, you're opening out into your side ribs with your breath. If you want to, you can start lifting the arms as well, so you can bring it up to level 2 by hovering the whole upper body up. But try and keep your legs heavy on the mat. Don't let them float up. So it is your upper body creating the movement. Still pausing at the top there for your breath in. One more. And then rest. Good. And now you can bring your small head support in for your forehead. Take your arms up overhead. And we'll work on our swimming. So we'll work through the levels. Again, keeping the lower body soft to start with, but your tailbone tucked, so your low back nice and long. Starting with the arms, with the shoulder tops away from your ears. We're going to out breath one arm up to hover. In breath back down. So our swimming level 1, which is just alternating arm lifts, keeping stillness through the rest of the body, making sure that you're not rocking or tipping or rolling from side to side. Think about the shoulder blade area of your shoulder, creating that lift. And then rest the arms down so that we can take it to legs. One at a time now. We are asking the glutes to work, so there can be good tension in those glutes. Out breath, one leg up to hover. In breath back down. Alternating sides. Again, keeping the pelvis level so you're not rolling or tipping from side to side. Try and keep the low back long so you're not dipping into here. The movement comes from any hip extension that you have. And if, like me, you don't have much, then your leg won't come very high. But don't worry, just try and take the weight. One more to each side, and then we're going to start adding the arms. So it'll be the opposite arm. With the leg, ready to lift. Out, breath up. In, breath down. Don't forget about your pelvic floor in all of this. Try and lift up through the bladder control muscles, keeping activity deep in your pelvis. Maintaining those little pockets of space. Make this next one your last. And then rest. Good, and have a push back. We'll come all the way back to stretch, bottom to the heels. Allow those arms to creep forward. Give your low back a nice stretch. And we'll finish in 4-point kneeling with mobility. We'll do some cat stretches and then a little bit of threading the needle to finish with some twists. So when you're ready, back up into 4-point kneel here. So position yourself with your shoulders over your hands, your hips over your knees. Draw your shoulder tops away from your ears. Make sure the back of the neck's long. Have your breath in. Breath out. Tip forward through the pelvis. Stick your tailbone out behind you. You can look forward. Breathe in. Tuck the tail under. Draw the centre of the back up towards the ceiling and breathe in there. And reverse. Good, back to neutral. Just take one hand to hover to free it up so you can pass it underneath the other. Give yourself a lovely twist through the upper back. Stay low with that hand that fed through. Breathe in. And then back. Pass the other one under. And breathe in there. One more to each side. Good. All right, we'll tuck the toes under, bring it back so that you can lift your bottom up and give the backs of the legs a nice stretch. You can alternate legs. Just work into the backs. The muscles all the way through the backs of the legs now. Hamstrings and calves. Try and hang heavy, relax through that upper body. And then rest with your heels down and your knees soft for one more breath in. And out breath to rebuild. All the way to a tall standing position. Good. Well done.